So it's May 2nd, 2025, Zoom at noon. Thank y'all for being here. I'm excited to see y'all. Y'all take your deep breaths. We'll get started. And we have Maureen Calamia here for fun conversation and Q&A. And I'll introduce her in a moment. But while we are allowing more people to jump on, just take your deep breaths. And I'm going to set an intention for the Zoom today. I know I love the element of fire to set these intentions. Just breathe deeply with the intention of being here now. Just be here now. And you can mentally say that to yourself as you take each breath deeper and deeper, exhaling out all the air. I'm just going to set an intention. We have a great call today, a great Zoom, where you receive the information you're looking for, whether on a conscious level or a soul level. Feel yourself getting a little more relaxed, maybe even a little more present. Remember, these breaths might be the most important thing you do today, so do it. And I just ask that we tune into divine wisdom, of course, earth wisdom, since that's going to be our focus today, nature wisdom, and that we be open and receptive to that wisdom and also to the wisdom we have within. Setting an intention for a fun conversation with Maureen, fun participation, that we have a great time, and that we all leave this call with newer awareness and maybe our eyes open a little bit more, our eyes and hearts and minds open a little bit more. All right, let's do it. Hi, everybody. Yay. Okay, this is a fun, I love this size group. And of course, I'm going to be sending the recording out. So anybody listening to the recording, you're here in spirit. We know that. I'm Katie Rogers Feng Shui. These are the free Zoom at Noons. I do the first Friday of every month. And I'm going to introduce my special guest today, Maureen. Hey, Maureen.
Hey.
So Maureen is, I would call a colleague. We have known each other from the International Feng Shui Guild for years. And Maureen, I just admire you so much. And I love your work with biophilic design. And I feel like you're such a leader in that area. And I really appreciate you. And I am so excited for what you're putting out in the world right now. And I'm excited for everybody here and listening to the call to get to experience that with you. I'm going to read your paragraph about you to give you kind of a more formal introduction, but Maureen Calamia is a visionary speaker, author, dowser, and consultant on behalf of earth-based spirituality and nurturing our relationship with the natural world. In 2024, she launched the Enchanted Earth podcast. It's on YouTube. And she's the author of The Enchanted Earth and Creating Luminous Spaces. And I have that one here and I have The Enchanted Earth online. She's passionate about topics relating to expanding joy, consciousness, and finding meaning in life. Founder of Luminous Spaces School with online courses in Feng Shui, biophilic design, and conscious nature relationships. Through our enchanted stories and dreams, earth honoring ceremony, mindfulness, and nature connection, Maureen supports others in developing confidence in their intuitive heart-based consciousness, relationship with nature spirits, and their authentic nature. Yay, Maureen! I love that. It was so fun to read it out loud. And just so y'all know, I put that in the chat and I have her links in the chat. So go ahead and take those so you can follow her and being part of her community. And she, of course, has some offerings coming up that I want her to tell you all about. But I just want to dive in because we've got a lot. I think you have and I have a lot. You might not know that yet, but you're about to. So I just really felt compelled to have you on the Zoom at noon. And I have been reading this book and offering it to my students because I really think it's one of the best write-ups on the five elements. So thank you so much for this. The five elements, if y'all, some of y'all have been doing feng shui for a while, some of y'all are relatively new, they can be confusing when you first start studying feng shui. So, Maureen, she just clarified, you just clarify it. You really do.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
yeah, so thank you for that. And then, of course, the Enchanted Earth. Oh my gosh. So let's start though. I want to hear because you kind of have an interesting story about how you even got involved in feng shui. Will you tell us like a little bit about that?
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, we all have our paths, and I love to hear stories. Always love to hear stories about people's kind of their journey to a more authentic self. So, just kind of abbreviating it a bit, I worked in marketing for most of my adult life. And at some point in I guess it was about my early 40s, maybe 40-ish, um, I was laid off from my job in marketing. And I had been really unhappy with my work for a while. And I just didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something that was more spiritual and going to really expand my awareness of my, what my path should be, what I should be doing here. So I had a dream, and just kind of short, that night that I was laid off from my job, the dream was a deer, actually a whole bunch of deer being beat up by young children, young boys, teenage boys in a park. And it was in the city. And the next thing I know, I'm in the mayor's office telling the mayor that we need to plant trees. And there was an angel, and I'm not really an angel person. So it was really bizarre that there was this angel sitting there, and no one else in the room could see her. But I felt like her presence was there to really awaken me when I got up out of the dream that this was my path. And I didn't understand that dream for many years. I stumbled across feng shui, and I immediately was drawn to it and immediately loved every like topic that seemed to weave itself through all these kind of interests and passions in my life, from astrology to nature to environmentalism to sustainability to divination. I mean, it was like all these things, all, blueprints, houses, all these things like woven together in this one discipline. And I was just awed. So that started my journey. And that was 20 years ago that I took a certification course in feng shui.
Okay. Let me ask you something. I like to really get in there. Why did you want to go to, what was it that made you feel called to something spiritual? These are your words that you're like, you were in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You had like kind of an opportunity because you got laid off. I mean, I think everybody's experienced that where you kind of get kicked out of what you're doing. Why spirituality for you?
It was something that was bubbling under the surface since I was 11.
Mhm.
My father died, and I was kind of like, whoop, suddenly asking those big questions of life. That is not common for a child to ask, but some of us may have experienced that when something kind of traumatic happens. And I started getting into astrology pretty quickly. I think about 12, 13. Yeah, you too, Wendy, huh? Yeah, this was in the mid 70s, and I devoured every book on astrology from my local library. And I cast my own chart, of course, by hand, did it great, except my ascendant was a little bit off. But I was really, really immersed in learning about who I am, why am I here, what is this all about at a very young age. And then I put it on the back burner, going to college, getting a business degree, starting my career, and I loved doing it. And because I have my sun and Venus in the 10th house of career, um, that just shows like I am passionate about my work. I have to be passionate about my work. So after about 20 some odd years of doing it, it suddenly lost its luster. And I started feeling like it was a chore. And I think many people can appreciate that. If we've gone through multiple careers in our life. And I think I felt like I did it enough, but it was the astrology that was kind of calling me back to my purpose. And that, and also doing some dream work in tandem, it really felt like I was just being called to this spiritual path.
Mhm. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I love that. I love getting that extra layer. Okay. So, and now the way I've gotten to know you is through the term biophilic design.
Yeah.
I kind of see you as the lady that does the ley lines and the dowsing. Like this is my lens of you. And it's kind of interesting because that's not my specialty at all. It's something I've a little bit shied away from. I like it, but you know, there's and everybody here knows, I hope the umbrella of feng shui is huge. So we do have you can gravitate towards different aspects under the feng shui umbrella. So will you talk about biophilic design and what that is, and then why it's such a thing for you.
Right. So it's quite different. It's kind of the other end of the spectrum from dowsing, I
Ah,
feel.
okay.
Yeah. So you've got dowsing and working with earth energy and the more like ceremonial, intuitive aspects. Biophilic design is more of a uh, evidence-based design practice. It has all this research behind it that I discovered like a PowerPoint when I was going deep on a little Google search. And it was by one of the founders of biophilic design. Now, the word biophilic comes from biophilia. Biophilia means the love of life, love of living things. And it was coined back in, I think it was the 50s, biophilia. And biophilic design started coming around in like the 1980s, late 80s, 90s. And it was the understanding that we've gotten so far removed from the natural world in our kind of technology and our hermetically sealed environments that we need to bring the outdoors in. So then there was all this research that has continued to this day about how bringing nature in helps with blood pressure, production of cortisol, a feeling of more well-being, a greater well-being, um, satisfaction in life, and all these indicators. So biophilic design, I immediately saw as a sibling, a young sibling to this ancient practice of feng shui, because they really have a nice overlap. They're distinctly different, obviously, but they have this overlap in understanding how the natural world, we need to we need to come back to it. We need to understand that we are part of it and to kind of immerse ourselves back into nature. And I love, Chris, that you're out in nature right now. And it is one of those days here in New York that I actually have shorts on and bare feet because when I'm done, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to put a t-shirt on and I'm going to go out there. But yeah, it's this immersion in nature that biophilic design and feng shui really have this wonderful, wonderful connection.
So you've kind of discovered both of these parallel to each other.
Yeah, I started feng shui school in 2006
Mhm.
and I discovered biophilic design in 2008 when I think I was searching like nature design. And then all of a sudden it was like, oof, all of these books and these conferences and white papers that I just was soaking it all up. And because I was a numbers person in my marketing career, I was more of the business kind of end, not the creative end. So I was very analytical. And when I took on feng shui and then dowsing, it was really exploring that right hemisphere of my brain and opening me up, which I really craved. But after a while, I was like, oh, but I really crave the analytic part. And when I discovered biophilic design, I was like, oh my gosh, it just ticked all the boxes. It helped me understand feng shui in a different way.
I'm cracking up because as you were explaining biophilic design, I'm like, oh, wait, is the left brain version.
Yes.
Like, oh,
Yes.
and it's also why I haven't been that drawn to it because I love the right brain stuff. So that is hilarious. Okay, that makes so much sense. Thank you so much for explaining it. Um,
Yeah.
I am curious how biophilic design manifests in a space. I mean, is it just you want to just speak to that?
Sure. So I kind of saw like the thread that connects the two disciplines. And even, I should say, even those who are architects and designers that have been developing biophilic design over the couple of decades it's been around, they even acknowledge that the root of it is feng shui, but they won't really say it. Like, they don't understand feng shui enough, actually, they've told me, to understand how they connect, but they know there's a connection. And I'm like, here, it's the five elements.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's the five elements because they have all these principles, and because it's a new discipline, literally around for maybe 25 years, 30 years, say, and it's still on the fringes of design. But they have all these people that have come up with their own set of principles, but I like kind of like one set that I feel like gets to not just the real tangible things but a little bit of the intangible,
Right.
like affection and playfulness. Isn't that awesome? And um uh, mystery and enticement. And so when I was literally sitting on the beach one day with the list of principles and saying, all right, how can I describe this in feng shui terms? And then, we all have experienced it all of a sudden, little like ding. And I went, oh my God, the five elements. And within 10 minutes, I had all the principles assigned to an element. It was like, fire is everything to do with natural light, illumination, playfulness and affection, right? So it's like the depth of understanding coming from feng shui and understanding the five elements at a deep level, or not, maybe not even at a deep level, just understanding them and what they represent. It was just like whoop, 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 whoop. There it is.
That makes so much sense to me. Do you have a graphic of that, Maureen? You should have a
I
graphic.
do.
Yes. Where can
I
we
can
find it?
share it if you
Oh,
want.
let's share it. I love
I'll
it.
pull it up as we talk. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Well, you know what? Also, I like to have everybody engaged. While we're pulling this up and sharing, everybody, if you have access, type in where you're calling in from and your favorite element. I wrote a list of elements. I'm like, we'll get back to that. Okay, multiple participants. Here we go. Oh, I'm so excited you have this. Wait, did it work?
Oh, I haven't, I'm still looking for it.
Oh, okay. She's still looking for it. Perfect. Well, I'll look at the chat while you look for that.
Where do I have it?
You'll find it. So yeah, so
Okay, there it is.
oh
Okay.
good. Oh good. Ooh, we got some wood energy here. Fire, Susan. I love it. See y'all, Maureen and I know exactly what's happening when you share your favorite element. It's so much fun for us to see a little bit of you. Ooh, that's awesome. Wait, do you have this in your book? I'm like, wait, I've seen this. You do have it.
Yep,
Oh, it's
I
in here,
do.
y'all. Okay, good.
I
Okay, perfect.
do.
I'm like, my brain, see, I'm so visual. I'm like, oh, wait, I've seen this. Okay, this
Yep,
is
yep.
awesome.
So, yeah, so as you can see in the creative cycle here, it just kind of goes around. And, movement and vitality is the wood element, which just I think makes a lot of sense, right? Because wood is all about energizing, motivation, drive, and all that. So and then of course it's everything to do with vegetation, views out our window, natural landscapes and ecosystems, connection with natural processes. So it's kind of like, just how things weather and change and just, in nature. And then the vitality of the land, which is a big indicator in feng shui, right? When we're looking at a site, is how alive is this land, right? And then you go to illumination, and it's everything to do with light and fire, and like I said, affection and playfulness in animals. And then the earth element is about transition and balance, because earth is that kind of stabilizer element that's in the center of the Bagua map.
Mhm.
And so it's to do with the sense of place, the orientation of the building, which obviously is, attracting, with the winds and with the sunlight. Um, Prospect and refuge, which you may know as command position. And there's all sorts of research about how we feel better when we're in this place of refuge and looking over a prospect. Just think of sitting in a restaurant. Like, we talk about this all the time in feng shui, right? Having your back to the wall and being able to have a full view of the room at the restaurant will give you the most sense of like feeling good. So that's their information richness, which is just another term. See, some of these terms come from biophilic design,
Yep.
but information richness is talking about the variety of textures and colors and shapes, which is yin and yang.
Yep.
And then you've got variety and balance, and local materials. So bringing in
Mhm.
things from the local environment. And then we've got shiny and clear, which is the metal element. And it brings a lot of the more esoteric principles of beauty, maybe more subjective, beauty, cohesiveness of the space. Like, you can make sense. So let me just share that a lot of biophilic design projects are really focused on more like corporate spaces, hospitality, some healthcare, which is so important. Some, very tiny bit of schools, which really can use it a lot more as well. So they're more of like Google, Apple. When they build a headquarters, they use biophilic design.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, so it's like how you can move within the space. Does it make sense, or are you confused? I mean, that's also, it's feng shui. We
Yeah.
talk about the flow of qi through a building. So it's just amazing. And then, of course, fractal patterns, which are found in nature, incorporating them, maybe in carpets, maybe in artwork, um, weather. I love that. Metal is kind of a hard element to talk about when it comes to like a physical manifestation of it. It's so funny, but I picked today to hold the copper that's sitting on my desk, and I didn't even think about it, but here I am. I'm holding copper. I just felt like I needed it, and here it is, the metal element. But in a more tangible way, weather is the sky. It's the breath. So it's the sky overhead and being able to see the clouds and to see what's coming when storms are coming. It's sound, it's airflow and breezes, and also the spirit of place, because metal is connected to the heavens, right? It's connected to kind of like that spiritual um, aspect of life. And then lastly, we have wabi sabi and flow. I was like, oh, I like the way that sounds, wabi sabi and flow. But to me, it just felt right. And of course, that's incorporating water, curves, a good flow through a space, things like mystery and enticement, because water is kind of this mysterious, it's connected to the abysmal in the I Ching. So it's kind of mysterious and dangerous, right? And then we have something called risk and peril, which you might be like, what the heck is that? And why does that belong here? But it is interesting that incorporating like minor risks and a feeling of peril at a very low level kind of creates a little bit of, it's like the spice that we add on top. Not a lot, just a little bit to give it a kick to make us feel like, ooh, this is cool. Think about like maybe being in a grand lobby at a hotel and they've got this balcony looking over the lobby and you're standing at the edge and you're looking over it. There's a little bit of that risk there, but you're safeguarded and
Wait,
you're not going to get hurt, right?
yes.
Um, and then, of course, the sense of awe and change and authenticity is something that, like real materials that feel authentic and non processed, that's kind of where the water element comes in. So that's kind of the whole thing.
So, Maureen, this is so awesome. So, I want to make sure everybody understands. So, y'all, what she's done, like so I wrote an ebook that's visual, but I don't have these same words for the elements. They are very similar. But what she's done is taken these biophilic design principles, so all those words there, and then she has figured out that they're all there in feng shui already incorporated into the essences and the symbolism of the elements. Maureen, this is so cool. I love it. I love it. I will say, I think it's so funny because there's so many different I feel like, these newer design things in the world. And I really feel like I'm on a list of them that is like at the heart of it, it is feng shui, but people shy away from calling it feng shui. But here it is,
Absolutely.
y'all, it's right here in front of you. And here's the deal. I always tell people, I'm like, y'all, feng shui, it really is common sense in a way. It really is just what feels good. But I think that we've all kind of gotten away. I mean, people have gotten away from common sense and what feels good. We've kind of lost our way with that. So this is see y'all need to buy this because then you'll have it in there. Okay, that is so good, Maureen. Thank you
Yes,
so much for going through that with us.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
So y'all, I bet everybody, since they put their favorite metal, I mean their favorite metal. What's up with the metal today? Uh, their favorite element. I know you got your copper. Then you can kind of see, you might have some aspects of your personality that align with these, what with the elements. That's kind of what we play with. Thank you so much, Maureen. I love that.
You're
So,
welcome.
okay, so people are shy about calling it feng shui, but you're helping them understand that it really is feng shui.
Yes, yes. It's interesting because biophilic design has been kind of it's new
Yeah.
and it's kind of been marginalized as this fringe thing that's becoming more important now. But I think like with any discipline, anything new, the old the old guard is very guarded, say, about you know, anything that's not measurable. So I think some of the principles of biophilic design got sidelined because how can you measure affection and playfulness? How can certain things? But everything is like, oh, it reduces blood pressure by 10% over 6 month period. And if you bring one live plant into a classroom, it increases the testing by 2.5%, and literally that's the research. It's so dry, but unfortunately, they've needed to go that route to get accepted and adopted into real, practice.
Yeah. I mean, in the way the world is right now, that
Yes,
proof is what gets funding, what gets research, what gets,
absolutely.
I mean, sold.
Right.
So that's interesting. And I've often thought, like, wait, why don't we all, do this with feng shui? And then I'm like, I got other things to do. I've got other things to do. So in a way, it's refreshing that biophilic design has figured that aspect out.
Yes, and clearly the some of the things we say in feng shui are backed up with evidence. Some,
Yeah.
the majority really isn't, but because a lot of what we do is like residential work, and they don't have research on residential. It's all corporate, healthcare, schools, and so on. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that there's not much research on the residential? That's where,
I think it brings up a whole slew of challenges. I come from kind of a little bit of a research background, and it's like almost, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's very difficult to try to create studies around that.
yeah, too many moving parts. I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so cool. I mean, I love hearing this from you. And of course, I've read a lot of what you've written, but to hear it like laid out like this is really interesting. So tell us about your school, and because don't you have a course coming up? And then also we want to talk about the International Feng Shui Guild. Y'all, Maureen is going to be speaking this weekend with
Yay.
23 other feng shui experts. So let's go ahead and let everybody know about those. I can put a link in while you're talking about it.
Sure, sure. So I just see a question here. Yes, I do consult for businesses. Yes. But the majority of my work it's like 90 some odd percent residential. Yeah. Um, talking about biophilic design, I teach a course that's 6 weeks. It's live online, and actually my class starts next week. I do it once a year. And for the first time, I have like a sliding scale to enroll. So, really trying to help people that may have some financial challenges at the moment. So there. And this weekend, I am speaking on Sunday with the IFSG's summit. And in that one, I'm actually talking about the other end of the spectrum. I'm talking more about this deeply rich connection to nature through our stories and this like major shift in human consciousness that's actually not just humanity, but the planet itself is upgrading the cosmos. It's the whole shebang because it's all we're immersed in all one field, right? So I'm really, really passionate about that. I talk a little bit about the Western astrology of it all and what's going on with the planet a bit. So yeah, so that's this
Wow.
Sunday.
I love it. So y'all, you can sign up at the link I put for the Feng Shui Summit. I mean, y'all, this is free. It is
Yeah.
free. I mean, it's a weekend of feng shui people for free. And but Maureen, I'm so glad this is a perfect segue because I'm telling you, y'all, just go ahead. If you're in a book club, put Enchanted Earth on there. Like, Maureen, thank you. I'm gonna tear up a little bit. Thank you so much for this book. It is so important right now. Y'all, Maureen does not hold back. Um, I have to say, I wrote down a quote from one of the ladies. So what she's done is helped us see the earth and nature with our eyes open and our hearts open. That's what I think you've done, Maureen. So I really, really appreciate it. Um, I am a huge nature person, like huge. And like when you're like, what's your, Maureen has a thing. I hope you're okay. She just says, "What's a powerful story you've had in nature?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got 10,000." But I telling you, reading your book brought me back home. I think Nicole Craren, she said, "I thought I was connected to nature." And I swear, since delving into your book, I mean, like it's all come it's you feel like you're a child the way like that sense of magic the way Maureen brings it to her readers. So tell us everything
Wow.
you want to tell us.
Thank you, Katie. Wow, wow. That means so much to me because um any author who writes a book, you have a goal in mind. perhaps almost being compelled to do what you do, and to write about what you're writing about, and you just have no idea how it's going to be received. So, what you just shared with me is deeply moving to me. Thank you. Because I know, if it impacted you, it definitely impacted others. So thank you for that. Um, so I had the idea to write this book way back in 2010 or nine. Um, I don't know if any of you heard of an author, Richard Louv, Louv. Okay, Chris. The Last Child in the Woods is the book that he wrote that was monumental to me. There's certain books in our lives that we're like, whoa, once we read that book, we can never, like, it just pivoted me down this path. So I had been practicing Feng Shui for a number of years, discovered biophilic design, was dowsing. But when I read Richard Louv's book, there was this deep calling within me. So basically, he coined the term nature deficit disorder, and how for the last few generations, our children have been increasingly separated from nature for a number of reasons. I'm not going to go into it. It's a horrifying book for the first half, and everyone says this, it's hysterical. The first half of the book is horrifying, it rips your heart out. And the second half of the book restores your confidence in that we can fix this. His second book was, now I'm forgetting the name, The Nature Principle. And what he really said in that book was, hey, this isn't just children, this is adults too. And I'm like, yeah. So it was kind of like coming around to this. And he was talking about people sharing their stories, their deeply moving stories of feeling connection to nature. And I went, oh my God, I think I need to write a book just like that. Kept the book for many years, 10 years. It was 2020, of course, during COVID, right? Many of us got a little bit of downloads. I actually got a download sitting under an oak tree, this majestic oak tree with the water in front of me. And my friend turned to me and she said, what's next? And I just reacted like, and all of a sudden, this download came from this oak tree. My whole body, that when you just chills head to toe, and it just came in. It said, this book, you've got to write this book. I went home that day going, all right, I'm starting. And, it took me almost 5 years to get it together for lots of reasons. I think it was really testing my persistence. I'm a very persistent person. But, at times you wonder when you keep coming up to a block, right? Don't we wonder, like, maybe we shouldn't do this? Either the universe is telling you, nope, this is not your path, or the universe is saying, are you really committed? And I kept coming up and going, which one is it? And I would just push through it, and I would push through it, and I would push through it. And here it is, finally. It came out in December, The Enchanted Earth. Thank you. I have stories from about 40 people, but by now I've interviewed at least 150 people through my podcast and through other stories for the book that didn't actually make it because I had too much content. I had to do some cutting. But yeah, that was quite a process, and I learned a lot, and it really has piqued my curiosity as to why we don't share these stories. Kind of gets back to what we were just sharing about biophilic design and needing evidence base.
Yep.
And sadly, some people Well, I should say I was so grateful that some people shared with me that they never shared this story before
Hmm.
outside of their like tiny little intimate circle. Obviously their partner or their best friend, but this was the first time they were like, and I was just like, wow. And the reason behind it was um, the reactions that they've got, or they were fearful of the reaction of, you're making that up. It's all in your imagination. What are you, weird? And there's a very strong uh, program that we all have not to be sidelined as a wacko.
Hmm.
And it takes a lot of courage to say, no, this happened. So, I think any of us who step out like that, an outsider, one of my friends in biophilic design actually called it an outlier kind of energy. You got to step forward and say, this is part of normal human experience. And I've talked to many um, Jungian psychologists and analysts, and they say everybody has these experiences. And it was just confirmation because I thought we do, but I didn't know. And of course, they don't know for sure, but I do believe everybody has had experiences that are shrouded with mystery that we can't fully explain, that, gave us messages like my download under the tree is an example. It doesn't have to be like, oh, there was a fairy dancing around the tree, although it could be. It
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It could be, having a dialogue with a mountain or a tree, which again could be. It could be sitting in nature and suddenly you get this knowing or a download, or, oh my gosh, you have a revelation of your purpose, or I have to do this differently, or whatever. We get this because nature's speaking to us all the time. And we just have to be still and we have to listen. And it may not be through our ears, it may be an image in our mind, it might be words that just come to us, it might be just this bodily felt experience. But I just felt like we have to recognize, normalize, and share these stories.
Thank you so much, Maureen. It is, I do feel like you're part of some reawakening of this book is part of that, where we know it as children. We had it as children. And I think there's been times in history and maybe certain communities, obviously, a lot of Native American. I mean, I love different cultures, and I think part of it is because they had such a relationship with nature. In this Western society we're in, we're starting this, the sickness is very apparent now of this the Western mind, the left-minded, the left brain taking over. I mean, I think we can have both. So the stories are, I love how in the Enchanted Earth you said you used the word normalize, but you were even talking about like, wait, what does that even mean to normalize this? It's real. It's real. It doesn't, we don't have to have things proved in this left-brained way for it to be real. That's what we have to start adopting. And I think Feng Shui is at the heart of that too. When people experience Feng Shui, when people experience these profound, you know, things in nature, they're not deniable to the person. But I think sometimes we can even talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
So
Yes. I think, so for instance, and I'm talking about not people that I interviewed for my book, um, because they've kind of crossed a threshold if they agreed to be part of the book, right? So I'm talking about like other people that were like, that I was sharing what I was doing for the last few years. And it was like everybody had a story. And one of the most common stories was a bird or a dragonfly or a butterfly arriving into their environment just at a moment when they were thinking of a loved one that had passed, and they assigned that signal as the presence of their loved one, right? I mean, so many of us have had that. And, you know, it was like their eyes are like wide when they're telling me this. And they're like, wow, just amazing. And then they go, yeah, but yeah, I know, whatever.
Yep.
I'm like, no, don't dismiss it. It is your loved one. Um, yeah, it's amazing.
Mhm.
People immediately feel vulnerable, some people, when they share that. And it's like they have to back it up with, oh, yeah, it was just my imagination.
Yeah, I
So
know.
sad.
And yeah, we play with synchronicities in the Feng Shui Odyssey that I teach, and it's been amazing to watch some students be like, "That can't be for me. That's not for me." I'm like, "No, yes, it is." And I'm like, and once you start to appreciate and know, oh my gosh, y'all, I can't walk out my door without a synchronicity, like 100. Your life, it becomes the wabi-sabi flow. There's that flow, that feng shui becomes like part of your life. It's not just in your homes, right?
Yes, it is so connected. And it's like we, it's not that it wasn't happening before those synchronicities. It's just we weren't paying attention.
Are we
And
dismissing
now we're finally paying attention. And then it's like, gosh, this
it?
world is so magical.
It's so mad. I know exactly. Oh my gosh, Maureen, I love it. Well, I'm so excited for everybody to tap into your work, y'all. And she's been, wait, the hour's too short. Y'all go listen to some of the podcasts too. I lived in Hawaii for when I was 25, Maureen.
Ah,
Couldn't get back on the plane. I had to stay. So she interviews a woman who had these amazing experiences in Hawaii. There's too many. I'm going to look at my questions because, of course, I really could talk to you for hours, and maybe we should just have another conversation in the fall.
we
But
certainly could. I would love
okay, I love it. Um,
that.
I want to open it up. I want to see. Wendy said this is amazing. Oh, fun. Okay. Oh, Wendy, that's how Wendy, good. Um, so y'all, the elements, there's so much to talk about with this, but do y'all have a question or something y'all want to share or something you want to ask Maureen? Because we have her right now, and I would love if anybody had any questions just to go ahead and unmute and ask her something. Or if y'all want to keep hearing us chat away, because y'all can see we're very excited. Oh, book club it again, and saying let's do another one. So, Maureen, we can talk about that.
Sure,
Uh,
sure.
Susan, do you have a question?
I do have a question. Apologies, it's a bit kind of left-brained.
That's okay.
Um,
Doesn't matter.
it's in the UK when people are building on a land site, they have to have 10% more biodiversity than the site had before.
Wow.
Um, yeah, wow. And in some areas it really is wow, because I live in a lovely area called South Gloucestershire, and every everywhere you drive, it's very lush. It's lots and lots of greenery, which is wonderful. But I look at some of these spaces and think, if you had a space like that was going to be built on, and they are very short of housing here, um, how would you ever get, 10% more than that? What would be ways that you might be able to, like, wall
Hmm.
gardens, or trying to,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of, obviously planting different species of trees, maybe planting flowers that are going to invite the bees, different insects. But I never heard that. So this is the first time I'm hearing that. And I have a lot of biophilic design friends in the UK. So I'd be very interested to hear what they're going to say. I write for the Journal of Biophilic Design. I do a column, but my column is more on the Feng Shui and our nature connection. But yeah, I'm wow. I'm just wondering even how they measure the
Yeah,
biodiversity.
that's a great question. I haven't got a clue, but I know where I'm living, they're getting a little mini heritage railway up, and even that on the little piece of land that they're working on, they are having to comply with this as well. They're a not-for-profit. They're
Mm,
yeah, so they're really taking it seriously. I think it's quite a new thing, so I think developers must be struggling with it.
yes,
So I think
yes.
your friends,
Wow.
bit of an
They're right
opportunity,
in the
they can come up with the solutions.
they're right in the middle of it. Yeah, and landscape architects would be of great help with that, figuring out how to create more diversity.
Yeah. So I think
Wow.
I've misunderstood it slightly because I have concentrated on the bio and I was thinking, oh, you need more 10% more plants or whatever than what it's got now. But it is diversity. Yeah, they're definitely saying biodiversity, which is a
Right.
slightly different angle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's so cool, Susan. That's developers have got to we have to have more awareness. I mean, we got to stop cutting down places and building
yes,
things. It's
yes.
insanity. From my perspective, it's literal insanity to me. It,
They are trying to use previously developed land as much as they can. So, where there's been something there before, but it's empty now or what have you. Yeah, but they used to call that brownfield sites. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
well,
Yeah, there's a lot of work with that, and that's wonderful. Converting these really damaged pieces of land to invite nature spirit back in, because
Yeah.
nature spirit just flees when there's neglect and destruction, and we have to entice it back.
mhm.
Love.
Thank you, Susan. Wendy had
Oh,
a
thank
question
you.
too. Wendy, do you want to ask?
I have so many questions, but we don't have enough time.
Give her one.
Number one, I want to ask, did you get laid off when Uranus was in opposition to your natal Uranus?
Ah,
Is
I'm.
early,
What
like
age
early
is
40s. That's
that?
early 40s.
Okay. Well, it was close then. I
Yeah.
have to look, but I do know Saturn was at my midheaven.
Oh, really?
Hmm. In
Interesting.
fact,
Okay.
when I discovered that, I happened to just be
Mhm.
looking because I was, unemployed at the time, and like I just kind of gravitated back to looking at astrological indicators, and I was reading something, and I looked at my chart and I went, "Oh my God." And then I was like, "This is real. I have
Yeah.
to study astrology
Yeah.
again." Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Amazing.
Uranus was close then.
Yeah. Okay. I just had to ask that. I know that's not really anybody else's interest, but I love
Well,
it.
just a little side thing. Uranus actually conjuncted my ascendant when my father died.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was a literal, like, I mean, it came out of nowhere for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
for
So
everyone, Uranus is the planet of awakening.
it's lightning.
Yeah, yes, it's lightning.
I love it.
Um, I just want to comment, like, I feel like I am following like a trail of breadcrumbs. It's so funny. So I took a feng shui course last year, and then but I've been horrible about getting certified, but I'm still doing it. I'm still interested. It's almost like I've had troubles with my own house. So it's been like until I can, have it work in my own house, am I really going to? But I feel like I keep persisting and pushing, like you were talking about the blocks, because then I took a deep dive, I decluttered with Katie, and then I've been listening to space clearing books. And last week I had a professional space clearing, and this guy also did earth acupuncture, which was fascinating. I never heard about that. Um, yeah. So anyway, this is fascinating. I love this so much. So I just think that like I'm supposed to like collect all these things, along the way and build something
Yeah,
new. So anyway,
Yes.
thank you. This is so exciting.
yeah.
Um,
I tell my students, I go,
thank you, Rhonda.
y'all, learn from every teacher. Everybody that's practicing feng shui and teaching feng shui has something different to offer. We don't think of competition in the feng shui guild. I don't. I mean, Maureen, I don't think you do. It's not like that. All have our perspectives. It's all
Yeah.
the same root, but I mean, I'm so lucky we're so lucky to have the guild because we have the
Yes.
community. So I love that,
Yes.
Wendy. Wendy, get certified. Just go ahead. There's no such thing as perfection in feng shui. Literally. Really.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress always. So don't,
And
I'm
life.
more than halfway through. I really got caught up in the details, and I'm frustrated with putting the bagua, laying it over a floor plan, and I'm like, this is taking too much time. But I found workarounds, but it's taken a while. So, yeah, it
well, the
sounds so.
bagua can be tricky. Don't worry. We
I
still
just want something that I can pull. I finally found something on Canva. Anyway,
Good.
yeah.
Maureen, this has been so much fun. Do you have any final words for everybody? Y'all remember she's teaching a course starting next week. This was not timed. This was timed, just
Yeah.
happens. So
Yeah.
if anybody
Yeah.
wants to go, y'all can look in the chat. She has her link. What else you got, Maureen?
Yeah. Do we have the link to my website somewhere?
Yes, I'm going to put it I'll put it
Okay.
up again. It's right
Okay.
here. There you
Um,
go.
yeah. So yeah, I have my training there. I guess what my last words would be is we have so much to be grateful for and optimistic about. I think there is so much wonderful energy for our future and right now. And I love that Katie started this with Be Here Now because that's all we can be. And that is where we live our lives. When we get too much in the past or too much in the future, it takes us out of our natural, authentic resonance. And it creates fear, anxiety, shame, guilt, and all those negative emotions. And when we live now and we live in appreciation for what we have and what's around us, and with a trust that what's to come, that's what we're creating. We are in a period of humanity where our what we've been saying about, you manifest what you think of. That's exactly what we're experiencing now, even more than ever. So think with positivity. I'm not saying be completely blind to what's happening around us, but know that we will come out of this. This is just a period of time. Yeah.
Maureen, thank you so much. When you were speaking, it really came clear that what you're teaching with the connection to nature, y'all really go outside and just imagine, even if you think it's your imagination, that the tree has a consciousness, that the rock has a consciousness, that the stars have, and let yourself open up and see what happens. That's part of that presence piece.
Absolutely.
That is
We
so
have we
beautiful.
have to be present to witness and observe
Right. And
and
connect
have
and experience.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is it. We're in these times. We're all doing it. We're all a part of it. Maureen, you rock. I can't wait to come to your talk tomorrow.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
wait, is it? It's tomorrow
It's
or Sunday?
Sunday.
It's
It's
Sunday.
Sunday.
My
Yeah, yeah.
calendar. But
Okay.
y'all go ahead, sign up for the guild so y'all can do it for free, and then go get these books. We're in this together. We're on this journey together. So Thank
Yeah.
you, Maureen. Yay!
Thank you so much for having me. And it was wonderful to meet you all. God, I really felt just like wonderful, wonderful, in sync, positive energy from all of you. So thank you.
Yay! We'll see y'all next month. We're gonna have a Qigong person next month. So y'all, first Friday. Yay! All right, take care.